The following podcast is a presentation of Project Entertainment Network.
Welcome to Vicious Whispers with Mark Tullius, your source for horror, sci-fi, suspense, and all things violent.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thank you so much for joining me today on Vicious Whispers with Mark Tullius. Today we have episode 79. At the end of the episode, we will have a short story from Untold Mayhem. I don't know which one yet. I might let my special guest decide what it's going to be. My special guest today is a longtime friend, Jason the Manly Stanley. No, Jason Stanley.
I like the Manly. I haven't heard that before.
I was going to go with Super Manly Stanley. That's even better. That's probably how I'll put it up in the YouTube description.
Excellent. Excellent.
But thank you for joining me today and being on here. We haven't talked in a long time, so I thought this would be kind of fun.
Yeah, it's been a while. We've been friends for a long time, and I've been a big fan of your work for a long time, and nice to connect.
Yeah, so
going down.
I think first off, I wanted to find out like why you talk so strange. That's always bothered me. I was like, what's wrong with this guy?
It's really just something I do to put people on edge. I don't want to get too comfortable. I want to feel a little nervous and get a little bit of fear instilled in their psyche. Yeah.
That's cool. Maybe I'll start doing that.
Yeah.
I'll change up my voice a little bit. No, but I wanted to talk a little bit because you just shared something the other day talking about my books and how much you enjoyed them, and it made me remember just how supportive you were, especially when I first released Brightside. That's when I never, I was trying to call myself a published author, trying to call myself an author, and I just did not feel it at all. And you were super supportive. You were very helpful, and giving me lots of that confidence that I desperately needed. And especially after you read Brightside and you guys told me how much you enjoyed it and stuff. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. That was definitely huge for me.
You're welcome. And I think, that's something that we all kind of, we all have our doubts. We all have our insecurities and all that kind of stuff. And I remember when you were getting started and this is going back probably 15 years.
I think 2012. I think I released Brightside in 2012, and so we were probably talking a year, even two before that.
Yeah, and I remember because our wives went to school together and great friends and whatnot, and we kind of created our what do you call it? Our bromance.
Yeah.
Sorry, I probably wasn't supposed to say that. But I remember, and the first day I met you, and I said, well, what do you do, Mark? Because I know, I met Jen and whatnot, and he said, I'm an author. And I'm like, that is so awesome. Like, I don't know an author. Now I can say to my friends, hey, I'm friends with an author. Like, not just me who's trying to self-publish, things, not self-publish some martial arts stuff online and whatnot, my own PDFs and whatever, but to be friends with an actual author, I'm like, dude, that is freaking awesome. And then you released Brightside, and I remember when all that came out, and this is advanced reader copy, you guys see that?
Oh, yeah.
And I think
it's going to be worth a lot of money one day.
Yeah, you even wrote in this one for me. I mean,
and I bet you can't read it. I got the messiest writing. My wife always makes fun of me. You could probably make out a couple words here and there.
Yeah, well, no, you didn't go to school like or I did. I mean, you went to Brown, right?
Yeah, but I didn't. I never learned how to write.
Well, isn't that the joke about doctors go to school for forever, so just so they can learn to write illegibly?
Yeah.
Now your writing's really good here, and I love the book. I thought this was wonderful, and just a really different kind of idea, something that I hadn't come across before. And I've read some, other bits and pieces, Stephen King, whatnot. But I really was digging this one, and I thought it was great.
That's cool. And now you have the early copy of Beyond Brightside, so it'll be interesting. It'll be, especially because it's been so long since you read the first one. It'll be interesting to see what you think and how you feel. And there are some parts in it that we are not sure of. My editors came back at me with one of the scenes saying that we should definitely cut it because I'm going to get a lot of shit for it. So we kept it. I kept it. So I'm definitely interested in seeing how you take it and what you think, and go from there. But hopefully you'll enjoy it more than anything. That's what I'm going for.
If I could just interject there, and one thing I really appreciate with what you do, Mark, is you're true to yourself in the way you connect with people, the way you put yourself out there, and it comes across in your writing as well. Is you're not hiding behind this facade, or it doesn't seem to be like that, at least. You seem to be just up straight. This is who I am. This is what I got, and I think that's just a great way people connect with you and relate to you. And I just want to congratulate you on being authentic. I think that's so important.
Well, cool, man. Well, I appreciate that, and I think lots of the talks we had early on, the motivating talks, you kind of helped instill that. You helped kind of show me, pass on lots of the stuff that you had picked up from guys like Timothy Robbins, is that his name?
Tony Robbins.
Tony Robbins. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually just did a whole bunch more stuff with Tony Robbins. Learning from him. We did this awesome program called UPW, called Unleash the Power Within, and usually they do it, like in a center somewhere, and there's like 15,000 people. But because of COVID, that all got, and so he built this stage. It's just friggin' phenomenal. He built this 40-foot high ceiling stage, a 360 thing with like 20,000 people on Zoom, all in the one thing,
wow.
And in the middle, and he's pulling people out and giving them coaching, and it was just an amazing experience. And then interestingly, I went ahead and did his business mastery 5-day intensive thing just a couple of weeks ago, and again, it was super powerful.
And so you're still learning, and you got a lot from it.
Got a ton from it. Got absolute ton from it. I've got 150 pages of notes. I mean, it's just insane. The guy's an absolute machine, like just a brilliant man.
Now, when you do get that kind of, especially that volume of information, how much of it do you apply? Do you ever get overwhelmed and think there's too much to apply, or are you kind of smart about it, like, no, I could implement this, and this right now, and then? Yeah,
great question. I think part of the program was doing something they call like a DISC assessment, where they ask you a whole bunch of questions, and then they categorize you into different areas and do like this profile analysis on you, and they figure out what you respond best to, where your weaknesses are, and then they kind of they coach you in those areas that you need it, and then where you're not good, they say, outsource that and get someone else to take care of that. You don't want to, you're a 4. You don't want to, really work on that and become a 6. Who wants to date a 6? You don't want to be a 6. You want to be an 8 or a 9 or a 10 in the areas that you're really great in. And so one of the things for me personally is, I guess they call it like high theoretical. Like I'm always, figuring the stuff, and I'm always seeking information. And the challenge for me is to go, no, that's enough information. Let me take action on the things that are really important. And so that's certainly been a challenge for me. But it's probably one of the reasons I'm just continually learning as well. Is I enjoy the learning, and I love seeing how people step it up and go to the next level. And but to answer your question, yeah, it is overwhelming, and you've got to be disciplined, and you've got to just be coached and also schedule. I found is really, really important, is just blocking the time and setting it on your calendar like it's an appointment with someone else, even though it's an appointment with yourself. Like you wouldn't break an appointment. We have an appointment effectively today to talk. I wouldn't break that appointment with you. It's the same concept. Okay, Tuesday at 10 a.m., I'm setting an appointment to do this. and you kind of got to step out of yourself to see it that way, and it's a really powerful way to get stuff done.
That's cool. I should do that. I've always had to-do lists, and those help me a little bit, but then I realized, like, well, my to-do lists were mixed up. I have my to-do list that includes shit that has to be done like in 6 months, things that need to be done, next week. Then I have other things that, like, no, those should be done today. So now I've kind of arranged my list a little bit more, where I have a list of, like, okay, here's what's being done today. Here's what's tomorrow. These are in the future. Then just knocking them out. But yeah, I think one of my biggest problems is being overwhelmed and also not hiring the people I need to. I'm getting better about that, but like, I honestly need someone to just take over marketing. Like, I could probably get okay at it, but with everything else I've got going on, like, I just added 2 more Try Not to Dies in the last week. So now I'm going to have a Try Not to Die with the little fat kid, and then, or I guess that's a bad word, heavyset kid. His parents, there's the original one right there. Look at that. That's going to be worth a lot too. The original cover has pictures in it.
Dude, you didn't write in this one for me.
See, that's what it looks like now, this one. See it? Right over there. That's the new grandma's house. You got the original one. And we're about to launch the big pandemic contest. We should get about 1,000 people into that contest, where they're reading each chapter every day. So I'm excited about that.
Tell me, how does the contest work? What's that about?
On the 7th, it's all going to be done through Facebook Messenger. And I hate Facebook, but whatever, we got to use it. So it's just going to be the first 1,000 people that register for free they'll get the ebook at the end of it for free. They have a chance to win autographed copies. Every day they're going to get the chapter at the start of the day. They vote on it. On the back end, we'll be tallying all the deaths and the survival rate. And then the people that have the best rates are going to win the grand prizes. Like, I'm not sure the total prizes, but I think we have like $500 in gift certificates to Dark Delicacies, which is a horror bookstore. We have a bunch of different horror authors that are putting together book bundles. So those would be prizes. So we're really going after the horror crowd. So I think it should be fun. And Jen actually had a great idea. She's like, well, what about all the people that die too much and they just suck at, because it's not easy. The survival rate on the last one, I think, was at 33%. So majority of people are dying. So we're also going to have a good prize for the person with the lowest survival rate. So whoever dies the most can get a prize. And it's not going to be easy to try to die either, because lots of times you're going to think, oh yeah, for sure you're going to die that way. But
so is there a prize for the guy who dies first? Like, the
very first person to die? I don't know. Maybe. You want to be that person? Well, probably not, because the first chapter, I'm going to set it up to where if you look on Amazon on the pre-order, or where I think we're going to have it available everywhere, you'll be able to read the first chapter and those decisions. So you put in a little bit of work, I'm giving them a free answer. So, but that, cool. And the first death scene is pretty cool too. So that way the readers get to actually see the death scenes. But like, I'm hard at work right now trying to get that through the final editing process, trying to get it ready for the 7th for the launch.
Is it like an epic death scene?
It's pretty good. It's all about the choice is whether or not you say something to this guy who doesn't have a mask on. So and really trying to tap into the disconnect and how we feel with all the how does everyone look at each other and judge each other with their mask on, and it all takes board on this ship, beautiful ship right there, and then. Well, it gets a little crazy though. Terrorists come on board and shit gets nuts.
Have you got you've got to Try Not to Die at Brightside, haven't you?
Yeah, Try Not to Die at Brightside. Oh, right there. That one is.
Got it.
Yeah, that's book number 2. So that was a lot of fun. So that kind of continued Brightside. It was done from a 16-year-old girl's point of view. One of the girls that Joe rescues at the end of Brightside. It shows her day in Brightside and then goes through the escape and a little bit further. And then Beyond Brightside kind of picks up from that point. So
Awesome. I got to get on that one too.
Yeah, so that one's gonna be cool. In a couple months, we have Try Not to Die Super High. That's gonna be awesome. Steve Montgomery, he's a UFC fighter, friend of mine. He wrote that one, did an excellent job. He's coming back to do Try Not to Die in Costa Rica. John Palisano, who wrote Try Not to Die in the Pandemic, he already did Try Not to Die in the Wild West. I just have to edit it and do all that. That'll be out next year. And then one of my good friends, I can't mention her name yet because it's not official, but she was a UFC fighter, just had a fight in Bellator. She's going to do one. It'll probably be based off of protests. And for sure, and I'm talking with my daughter about doing Try Not to Die in 25 Perfect Days, because I definitely want to do one set in each book.
I love that. You're pulling it all together. That's awesome.
Yeah, and that's what I'm seeing with a lot of reviews from with Try Not to Die and Brightside. Right now it's on NetGalley, so people are hearing the audiobook, and they're all saying, oh, I should have read book 1 first. I'm going to go back and get Brightside. And because of that, then they're going to want to go get Beyond Brightside. And so if I could do that with multiple books, multiple authors, like I'm realizing, I think this is the way I'm going to break out. Because it's all about series. I think 52% of all books sold are in a series or something like that. So, I'm not doing it because of that. Actually, my intention behind it was to, some of the people I'm writing with, the pandemic has crushed them. They needed money because their jobs are crushed, everything else. So this was a source of income. And my goal, the reason I want to be successful and really make money with this is so I can make money for all these people. I'm giving them a significant, cut of the proceeds. And so now that is not, because, honestly, I think one thing that held me back is I don't need the money from writing, so I've never had to try to market. I've never had to worry about that stuff. I've wanted to be successful, but the money part of it, it was never a goal. But now it's no, I do want to make money because I want that author and that author and that author to all be, if I could do that for them. I'm doing one with my nephew. In fact, we just got off a phone call. He's having a little bit of trouble because school's overwhelming. He's only a junior in school. But I told him, I was dude, this could take 2 years or more. There's no rush. But his book is going to be really good. Try Not to Die in the Second Civil War. So it's all about pretty much everything that's going on, all his fears. But I told him, I said, hey, even if this doesn't make a lot of money, you're making money now. I was but imagine if you were able to make I don't know, $50 a month for the rest of your life or something like that, for something you did while you're in high school. I was that's pretty cool. So, so I think, probably have close to 20 books planned right now. Even if half of them see the light of day, if I have 12 to 15 books in the next 5 years, which I should, that'll be good. And that's not even to mention my other stuff that I have to try to weave in there. I'm finishing up my brain book right now about recovering from traumatic brain injuries. And then I need to do the second book in the Messiah series. So
awesome.
Yeah. So that's what I've been up to.
You're a big Stephen King fan, or at least used to be when you were younger. I know that, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And I remember Stephen King talking about, it was in an interview once where he talked about cups and handles. Have you ever heard him talk about that?
I don't remember that.
So, I hope I get this right, but I believe it is, when you're writing and you have, an idea, but you're not sure where it fits, but you've got this scene in your head or a concept or some kind of something, and it's got potential, but you're not sure where it fits. And I know you take copious amounts of notes and you just write down your thoughts and get it out on the paper. And Stephen King said it's like having a teacup without a handle. And he writes, all this stuff, these thoughts come in and he puts them on paper, and he says he just got all these teacups without handles. And then one day, 20 years later, he finds a handle for a cup, and then he pulls it together and then comes up with his next story. And I thought that's a really, I love that analogy. And I know both of our daughters like to write a lot. Mm-hmm. And interestingly enough, both of our daughters have the same name, Olivia. Yep. And so both the Livs are writing all the time. And I say to my daughter, I said, honey, you got another teacup without a handle? And she goes, I know, I just don't know. I'm like, that's okay, just get it out. You'll connect them one day.
Yeah, no, it's I think that's awesome. Yeah, I think that's really what I try to get my co-authors to do, because most of them are not authors. John Palisano, he's an author. But the majority of these people are fighters, jiu-jitsu people, just friends of mine that I've never, some of them haven't, I think a couple of them haven't graduated high school. But I was like, no, like, we're just going to work this muscle together. Like, I enjoy pulling stories out of people. Like, that's fun for me. You know, I was like, okay, I was like, I know you have the answers in your brain. I'm just going to ask you all the questions so you give them to me. And then we change them and fix them and make it even cooler. And yeah, so for me, it's a lot of fun. But you're totally right on just putting it all out there, just writing it all down. You don't know what's going to land. You don't know what's good, what's bad. But if you don't give yourself permission to do that, like, you're going to lose out on so much stuff, you know? And I think, now lots of times I'll come back the next day because maybe I was high or whatever else. And I'm like, oh man, what did I write? But for the most part, like, it's all good. And another philosophy I've had to adopt is just, man, it will happen when it happens. I have a lot of co-authors. I just talked to my buddy Jeff, who's going to do Try Not to Die in Satan's Island, which is going to be awesome. But, you know, it's fallen away. He's been busy with a bunch of stuff. I was like, dude, I said, if you were doing it right now, I'd be overwhelmed. I wouldn't be able to do it. I'm working on this one and that one and this one. I was like, watch. I was like, when you're ready to start it, it'll be the perfect time and I'll be able to jump on it. I was like, things happen when they happen. And then the same thing, like with the Messiah book, part 2, The Bridge. I started writing that book before Ain't No Messiah, so like 8 years ago. But Messiah came up and I had to do that one first. And now when I write this one, when I write The Bridge, it's going to be way better because I'm going to be in a way better place. And so I try not to get overwhelmed. And I also tell myself every day, I was like, man, I could die today. This could be it. You know, my family could die today. I could die today. So all that really matters is that I'm enjoying the process. If I'm enjoying the process of writing, which I absolutely do, I was like, then that's cool. I'm going to have a good life. I'm going to have a good life with my family every day. I'm going to enjoy writing every day or making positive steps towards the career. I was like, so for me, I was like, that's a win.
You know, I heard the other day, I was in a group that I belong to, and the author of the post had written, I've read 54 books this year.
Wow.
How many have you read? Post below. And then, you know, there's a couple of answers. I've read 12, I've read 15, 34, whatnot. And then this is going to bring tears to your eyes. The next post I wrote, the only book I read is Facebook. And I thought, okay.
Yeah, that's sad. And I guarantee that person's life is probably pretty negative.
You know, Jim Rohn, who was, you know, Jim Rohn, right? One of the first greatest success coaches. And I was fortunate enough to see him in person about 25 years ago in Melbourne, in Australia. It's just amazing. But one of his quotes that sticks in my mind, I just love it, is if you want the things on the higher shelf, you've got to stand on the books you read. And it's just obviously a metaphor for education, continual self-improvement in education. And he's so right. And he would say things like, you know, skip breakfast, but don't skip reading every day. 30 minutes a day. You know, you can skip other things, but just don't skip your reading. And you know what? This year, I had that New Year's resolution, right? And up until probably March, I read, you know, at least 30 minutes every day, and then COVID hit, and I was back in Australia twice and just dealing with a whole bunch of stuff, and I got off track. But in that time, I think I read 12 or 13 books so far this year. One of my favorites, which is, I know we briefly spoke about it, 1984, George Orwell. That was great. And yeah, that was so awesome. And then I contrast that with Catcher in the Rye, which I'd never read. We never read it in school in Australia.
I don't think I did either.
And you've read it though, right?
No, I don't think so. I think I skipped over that one.
So, I mean, it's a classic American, you know, I think it's an American book, right? I'm sure it is.
I'm pretty sure.
And so I thought, it always comes up in movies, and I forget what movie it was. A guy just collects copies of Catcher in the Rye and whatnot. And I thought, I've got to read that. I'm going to put that on the list to read. And I read it, and let me tell you, it's an experience. It's very different. I'm struggling with it.
Did you finish it or?
No, I finished it. I made sure I finished it. So any book I start, I make sure I finish and get through it. Read a ton of stuff. Well, 12, 13 books this year, including, I'm halfway through the second book of Game of Thrones, which is like
Massive.
1,000 pages or whatnot. And I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan.
I didn't want to be but then Jen made me watch it. And I liked it, so
yeah.
But for the most part, dude, I try not to watch stuff that's super violent. I don't know. I don't like seeing all that. Yeah, that's why I had a hard time with the story you wrote, sicko. I still remember that.
My story. You can't say that. That's for your eyes only.
Yeah, but we could let people know that you're kind of disturbed. Whatever.
No, I'm not disturbed. I guess I am.
Maybe you're just trying to impress me.
I'm creative, and you stimulated a part in my mind, and we all have it, I guess. And I refer to it as that part of the mind where you walk down, the attic stairs into the basement and open the door where you don't often venture. And there's certainly some creativity beneath all the spider webs. And
was that hard for you to write? Did it kind of disturb you at all that you would even have those kinds of ideas?
I really love the creative process and whatever that means, but I love storytelling and reading. And at school, I was, in elementary school, we call it primary school in Australia. I used to write all the time and absolutely loved it. And I love that. I don't know, maybe it was an escape for me as a kid or whatever, but not that I had a great upbringing. There wasn't a lot to escape from it, but I really enjoyed that. So I know a few years ago, I thought, I'm going to explore that again and start writing. And I'd schedule it and I'd write half an hour every day and see how it went. And I enjoyed creating the characters, creating the story. And I remember reaching out to you and saying, well, I don't know where this is going. How do you, when you write, do you come up with a structure and you know the ending ahead of time and how it all fits together? And I think you said to me that one of the ways you write is just to really try to get into the head of the character to figure out who he is and what makes him the way he is. What's his background? Where did he come from? What are the feelings he's feeling? Try to tap into that. And I found when I started to do that, I started to take my thoughts and my processes into that basement, the attic that's not often visited. And I felt a little uncomfortable. I honestly felt a little uncomfortable because I think, it's compelling and I can write it and it's engaging but what the heck's my wife going to think if she reads this? Like, this is grounds for divorce right here if she reads this. But I've really enjoyed exploring all that.
Mm.
It's very cool.
Yeah, Jen's actually told me before that she's been a little bit afraid to read some of the stuff I've written just because
she's afraid of you.
She doesn't want to know that I have those thoughts in my head. I was like, that's good. I was like, because yeah. But yeah, no, I think it's a powerful thing to go explore that basement, that naughty place, and just having to be okay with it. Like now, I'm okay with it, dude. Every once in a while, I'll try to think of a story and like, okay, maybe I can make this one happy or something. I'm like, no,
that's not you.
Yeah, no, it's not. It doesn't make sense. It's like, why would I write that? Like, what's the point of the story if nothing terrible happens?
When I was a kid, and my parents split when I was younger, and I'd go visit my dad. And he lived a couple thousand miles away and whatnot. And I remember Dad had, and this is probably, when is this? This is mid-'80s maybe. early 80s. So I was, 10, 12, 14, whatever. And he lived in North Queensland in Australia, and that's kind of like, pretty remote area at the time. I think they had like 2 TV stations and no cable or anything. I mean, there was nothing to watch on TV. So he used to he was like Blockbuster's, remember Blockbuster, the video shop?
Yeah.
He would constantly be there, and he'd come home and he'd have, 10 movies, and let's watch this movie, and we'd be watching movies all the time. And he never ever watched horror movies. And I remember asking him one day, I said, why don't you watch horror movies? Not that I was a fan, but I just was curious. Like, he watched all this other stuff, but he never watched a horror movie. And he said, I think they're bad because they give people ideas. And maybe so, maybe not. And that's what when I go into that attic space and whatever, and I come up with something, I go, ugh. And I think we spoke about this a couple of years ago. And one of the thoughts I had, that somebody actually went and did it.
Oh, right.
But I remember that, having that thought, this would make an awesome story, suspense, thriller, horror, whatever. And then you told me, some guy did that. And I just went, ooh, now I feel like really kind of.
Yeah, but I mean, I think everything's pretty much been done. And so much of my stuff is just taken from headlines I've seen. It's all stuff or a combination of things I've seen or heard or read about, or whether it came from Auschwitz or it came from the paper or it came from wherever, or like someone's done, or some movie I've seen. So I don't know. I never worry about that anymore. I did just, in Untold Mayhem, one of the stories that was, half the people liked it a lot, half of them hated it. It was about a school shooting. And so I knew, and at Brown, I knew a lot of people were going to have a hard time with that, and it was triggered a lot of people. And, no one's going to get an idea from it. Like, if they were going to blow up a school or shoot up a school or whatever, they were already going to do it. Doesn't matter if they read it, from me or Stephen King or whatever. So I don't worry about that anymore, about giving anyone ideas. But I think I've had a couple of people actually tell me too, like, reading horror kind of helps them deal with some of their, like, they're not the only person that has had this kind of thought before. Because, dude, I've had tons of, like, terrible, terrible thoughts, and I don't know why they popped up, and I felt guilty about them. I was like, no, well, I'm just going to put that into my writing, and then I'll get rid of it. So who knows? Who knows where they came from, but, like, that's how I get rid of it.
Yeah, we're not the thinker of our thoughts, right? And
exactly.
I remember hearing Sam Harris, one of his podcasts, and he talks a lot about free will and all that stuff, and he's just a brilliant guy. And he's neuroscientist and whatnot, and studying like consciousness and where's it come from, and it's just a fascinating area. But a thought pops into your head, and you're like, well, I didn't think of that. Where'd that come from? That came from somewhere deeper. How do you become the thinker of your own thoughts? That's curious to me.
I know. What did you say his name was? Sam Harris?
Sam Harris, yeah.
I know I have one of his books here. I just was recommended that. But yeah, that was super good. Here it is. Waking Up. Bang.
Yeah, read that one. That's a good one. I've read most of his stuff.
I read
really
a
interesting guy.
That's one of the nice things, even though, dude, I hate writing nonfiction. I swore after Unlocking the Cage I would never do it again. But because I've been working on the Traumatic Brain book, like, I've read so many positive books and awesome books. And that was one of them. But yeah, just really exploring our mind and all of that. So yeah, I think that is awesome. I want to get into, before we forget, we could probably talk all day, but I want to get into your new business and how you came up with it, why you came up with it, and what it is, and why my use of it is so awesome.
Okay. Well, yeah, thanks. And what it is, it's a way for people to connect and transact online. Right now, I don't know if you've noticed, and your listeners have noticed, your viewers have seen, that one of the things, because of COVID and everything surrounding it, is everyone's got a side hustle. And I think you were saying it before, like people are trying to find ways to connect. People that were offline, they had a bricks and mortar business. Like, I mean, we have a karate dojo, which we've had for 18 years now, and it come, when was it? It was March 24. I was out of the country. We're in Australia, and boom, doors are shut. We haven't opened them since. And there's, we've had to switch to Zoom and try to teach, but that's not a sustainable model, and it's just ongoing challenge. And numbers are dropping, and then it's just up and down, and it's just a headache. And I think, I'm grateful we can actually still teach by Zoom. What about all these people like that have swim schools, for example?
Right.
That indoor swim school. You can't teach swimming via Zoom, I don't think. But maybe you can. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or just the thousands and thousands of people whose businesses have just been absolutely smashed. So in one respect, we're just so grateful and thankful that we can continue to have an impact and help people and still run our dojo and whatnot. But so I know this is kind of a long way around to where I'm getting, but what we did when that all got shut down, I'm sitting at the dojo. I've got all these thoughts in my head, and I know my daughter has got online and she's on Instagram, and she's just crushing it. She'd been doing Instagram for, I don't know, 6 weeks, and had like 800 followers or something on Instagram. And I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? And she's lived the bookworm on Instagram, and she does these videos on Facebook, and she's just an avid reader, and she's just absolutely killing it. And so these thoughts are floating around in my head of following and whatnot. And for the dojo, I'm using this app, a web app or a web service, to book people into the schedule, for like an introductory lesson to karate or whatnot. And I'm using a service called You Can Book Me. It's really neat. It taps into your Google Calendar, and it just makes it simple, right? And so I've got You Can Book Me in this part of my head, and I've got my daughter doing Instagram follow, and things started come together, and I came up in my head, you can follow me. And I'm like, you can follow me. What the heck's you can follow me? And it was much like what we were just talking about before. You've got a character and you're trying to explore, what is this? Where does this come from? And so I'm going, what would you could follow me be? I mean, it's an awesome domain name because it's got a built-in call to action, and it's telling the person exactly what you can do. You can follow me, right? And so I Googled it, and there's no domain for that. And I'm like, I'm going to snap that up right now. And I got that, and I came home and I told Christina, what if there was a way that we could connect people and take, they're on Instagram, they're on Facebook, they're on YouTube, they're on Twitter, they're on Pinterest, TikTok, whatever. You want TikTok?
No.
I don't know what.
Oh, TikTok? I started a profile, and that was it. And I took it down.
Right. So basically what it does, it takes all of your links and consolidates it all into one point of contact. And then you can have, pick a handle like an Instagram handle, but it's youcanfollow.me/ for example, Mark Tullius. And that's where everyone can, it's like your online business card. I think that's probably the easiest way to describe it, because people go, what is it? And I'm trying to find the words to describe it. I know what it does, but how do you sum it up in one word or one sentence? It's your online business card or your online business gateway. It's a one point of contact where people find and connect with you in a very focused, easy to understand format. And people might say, well, why don't you just send them to your website? And I say, well, yeah, you could. But the thing on your website is you've got so much content and so much information, and you might just want to, give them a link to a podcast or a link to a book release or a link to whatever it is. And this way it just goes boom, 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 and you're keeping them focused on point, exactly where you want them to be. So it teaches people how to connect and transact with you. So I know we set up your profile, but other people that we're really helping with this, obviously with karate and my audience in that area, we're helping other dojos, basically set up their You Can Follow Me for their dojo. so they can book lessons online. People can follow, call, do all that kind of stuff. We're helping people in direct sales. That we've got a whole bunch of boss ladies or boss moms who are, they're educating their kid at home, and they never realize how difficult homeschooling is, right? So they're dealing with that, but then they're trying to bring in this extra income because they've either been laid off or can't go to work because they've got to homeschool their kids. And so they've signed up with, a direct sales company, for example, that might be like Party Light or Epicure or Color Street or doTERRA Oils or whatever it is, where they're trying to reach out to their network and help people, get their products, through their affiliate link. So instead of going, okay, here's my, I don't know, Color Street. I think they do like nails or something, right?
Oh, okay.
And so you get this URL, which is like really long, and you see it all the time. People are wanting to support each other on Facebook, and they say, hey, let's keep business amongst our friends. Don't buy from the big box stores. Let's help each other. You need something, drop your link in here. Keep it within our local network. And so people put in their link to their affiliate product, whatever it is they sell. So you got all these people that are dropping their Instagram handle or their link to their affiliate website. But how the heck are you going to remember 3 days later that Mark Tullius is a rep for Color Street or Party Light or whatever, and then try to remember what the URL is?
Right.
So what we're doing is going, instead of doing that, guys, just drop your You Can Follow Me link in. So it's youcanfollow.me, Mark Tullius, bam. The person goes there and they come up and they see that you're now selling Avon and you're doing whatever else you're doing. And what we're finding, Mark, is that there's this like cross-pollination going on as well, because we've got these boss mums and whatnot that are, reps for 5 different companies. I mean, they are busy. And
right.
This just eliminates all this back and forth. Well, how do I connect with you? What's your website? No, just go here. Here it is. Boom. Done.
Yeah. No, for me, it's, sorry. I was going to say, for me, it's awesome because I think I have all the different links to the podcast. I think the YouTube link, the different places you could listen to it. I have my books on there. I have Instagram, all my different handles. So I think I have like 10 things on there, which is super convenient. And it looks so much nicer when I post and just having that one link. So if you guys haven't done it yet, you can follow me at, what is it, marktullius.com? Is that how it works?
So it's just going to be, here, let's do a screen share. Right?
Damn, I did it wrong.
Can I do a screen share?
Let's try it.
Okay, so I'm going to, oh, no, you disabled it. So you'll have to screen share it or enable me.
I don't know how to do any of this stuff.
Anyway.
I'll put a picture, so I'll write that down right now. I will share on this part of the video. I will cut us talking out, and I'll put up a screenshot of a little video of me using it.
Yeah. So your link is youcanfollow.me/Mark Tullius.
Okay.
And people go through there, they see all your books on Amazon, Goodreads, Instagram, website, and all your podcast info and all that good stuff.
Yeah, no, but it's a super, super smart idea. Now, do you offer a free version for people that want to just try it out? What do you?
Yeah. So we offer, and I'm going to let you know a secret. We offer, right? I don't know if I should tell you. We have a free version where people can get started, try it out, see how they like it. And it is free and it does the basics. So if they wanted to do it, they could just go to youcanfollow.me and go ahead and sign up, get your free account, try it out. It's you'll see how it works. We have something called Follow Me Plus, which is the paid version, and that allows you to do like full customization. So you can brand it exactly with your style and colors and everything else. So your branding is consistent across your social media. Which is really important. And it gives you some more functionality, gives you more detailed reporting, things you can embed YouTube videos, which might be awesome for you. I haven't spoken to you about that, but maybe if you've got a trailer or something I know you had some a while back with Brightside. You could put that in, people could see that. Hey, buddy.
Can you say hi to Jason? This is. Have
Jake
you
fan.
ever meet Jake? Did you?
Yeah, we have the same birthday.
Yeah, it was. You guys have the same birthday?
Yeah, May the 4th be with you.
Wow, is that pretty cool?
Yeah.
He said meow, so that means yeah, that's super cool. I don't speak very good cat, but I speak a little bit of cat.
My daughter used to speak cat for a while when she was about his age. She used to just turn and go.
He thought for sure he was going to turn into a cat when he turned 7. It hasn't happened yet, or it happened and it went away really quick. We're not sure what.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on there.
But basically we have that. We have the paid version that gives you more options, more flexibility, more functionality, and better reporting. It helps you expand your reach faster and all that. And we're just about to release, drumroll, a premium version, which is like the next level. That's going to have a whole bunch more stuff in there. And I'm not going to tell you exactly what it is because it's a couple of weeks away from being released. But what we've got right now is, the free and the plus. And
okay. And you said that was youcanfollow.me?
Correct. That is it.
That sounds perfect. No, I think it makes a lot of sense. It's awesome. I'm glad that you let me know about it and helped me set it all up and that's one of the problems too, is if it had been left up to me, I wouldn't have got it done. Even though it's simple, like certain things I just can't get done. I think most people probably could just benefit. I mean, even if it was just simply in their email. If that is your email signature, if you have that down there, then people can go follow you online, whatever you put in there, like Facebook or your phone and all that. So I think that's a great way to use it, even if you don't have a business. So I don't know. It just seems like a good product for everyone. But as you saw, my son is getting anxious, and so I guess I should probably go attend to him and wrap this up. But I seriously enjoyed talking with you. It's been too long since we got together. Too bad you guys live so far away.
What is it, 45 minutes?
No, with traffic, it could be an hour or so.
And
I don't like to leave the house.
Especially now.
Yeah, especially now. So I end every episode with a story, a short story or a chapter. Today will be from Untold Mayhem. I was trying to think of one that you might like. I was like, what would be like one sick and really twisted one?
Giving people the wrong impression.
I think so too. Yeah, let's go with the nice professional businessman story. Oh, I got it. All right. So we're going to go with the fine print. That's one of my favorite stories on here. It's one of the later ones I wrote, I think. And it's about 2 businessmen. So we will go out on that. I don't know who the narrator is, but I will put him or her in the credits. Jason Stanley, Jason the Manly Stanley. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for youcanfollow.me. That's an awesome product. You guys should check it out. And we'll talk to you guys next week. Later.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
The fine print. Mr. Cohen handed Stan and Gary their contracts, then laid his folded hands on his mahogany desk. Cohen's black suit, blue tie, crisp white shirt, and manicured hands screamed class. But the look was a bit too stuffy for Stan. Stan looked great in a suit, but he'd rather throw on a nice pair of jeans and a snug polo so he wouldn't be too intimidating to women who might want to approach him. Gentlemen, before we get started, let me just make certain that you understand how this works. This is mediation, not arbitration. There is no judge or jury, just the 2 of you talking out your differences, with me helping you come to a satisfactory resolution. Anxious to get it over with, Stan said, "We got it." "Gary, how about you? Any questions?" Not surprisingly, Gary shook his head, unable to assert himself and speak even a one-word answer. "Then if you would both please review the contract and sign and date it. Today is the 30th. Stan turned to the back of the 10-page contract. "What exactly am I signing here? Not promising my firstborn or anything like that," he joked, flashing his winning smile and turning the charm on, already trying to get Cohen in his corner. It simply states that the resolution you reach is binding and cannot be appealed. It also waives your right to sue Final Solution if things don't go the way you expected them to. Stan put pen to paper, chuckling as he scrawled his name. Not too worried about that. I recommend that you read the whole thing. Stan flipped through the pages to satisfy Cohen. Looks like your standard contract. I'd like to get this thing started if we could. Stan looked to his right. Gary was on page 3. Come on, man. I don't have all day. He can take as long as he needs. Predictably, Gary folded under Stan's pressure and turned to the last page. After carefully signing his name, he handed the contract to Cohen. Speaking to Stan, but looking straight ahead, he asked, Happy? Stan slid his contract across the desk to the mediator. Very. Let's start. Cohen held up a finger as he checked the signatures. Stan was tempted to reach across the desk and snap the pretentious prick's finger in two, but instead he sat there with a smile pasted on his face. One more thing, Cohen said as he looked up from the contracts. I'll need both of your watches and cell phones. Stan looked down at his Cartier and shook his head. I don't think so. It's one of my rules. No phones, clocks, watches, or hourglasses. Once this thing is started, we don't finish until we've reached a satisfactory conclusion. Gary handed over his phone and cheap Timex. Stan took his time unclasping his watch. Cohen took it from him and walked to a paneled wall. When he pushed the middle section of the wall, a panel slid to the side, revealing a safe. With his back blocking their view, Cohen dialed in the combination, opened the safe, and inserted the contracts and their belongings. Before closing the safe, Cohen pushed a button that unlocked the hidden door next to it. Stan pretended to be impressed. Wow, look at you, all Mission Impossible. Cohen pulled the door open and motioned for the men to head down the dimly lit concrete hallway. Not exactly. We just respect our client's privacy. And can you really blame me for not wanting this ugly door in the middle of my office? Stan glanced about the plush office. You've got a point. Plus, people would be wondering where that door went instead of listening to what you were saying. Gary, who had just entered the hallway, took the bait. Where does it go? Cohen took off his jacket and hung it on the back of his chair. Last door on the left. Stan strode down the long hallway, breathing down Gary's back. When Gary stepped into the room and stopped abruptly, Stan stumbled and collided into Gary's back. What the hell, dickweed? Why did you stop? You should watch where you're going, Gary said under his breath. Enough of that. Cohen walked between the two men. Gary, have a seat over there, he said, pointing to the edge of the sunken concrete pit that filled the room. Stan, you take that side. Stan looked where Cohen was pointing. Are you serious? There's no cushion. Take a seat, Stan. Gary walked to his side of the pit, stepped into it, and sat on the edge. Stan went to his side and plopped down onto the hard concrete. Trying to make light of the uncomfortable situation, he said, Fill this thing with water and we've got ourselves one hell of a jacuzzi. I'll line up the coos if you handle the booze. I thought you wanted to get started, Stan. Cohen's dry, monotone voice was starting to grate on Stan's nerves. Stan looked away from Cohen and caught Gary smirking. He restrained himself from dashing across the 8 feet that divided them and smashing him in the face. What's so funny, you little pencil-neck geek? Cohen stepped to the edge of the pit. Stan, that's the last time you insult Gary without there being a consequence. Understood? Don't speak to me like I'm a child. Don't act like one. Stan's blood was boiling. He didn't trust himself to look at Cohen, but staring across at Gary was almost as bad. Now, if you two are ready to start, please place your feet on the markings in front of you. The outlines of 2 feet were painted on the concrete floor a few inches away from the step. When Stan placed his feet inside the markings, 2 metal shackles shot out from the wall inside the pit and clasped both ankles. He jumped to his feet and nearly fell over as the restraints prevented him from moving forward. "Easy, Stan," Cohen said. "It's part of the session. They don't hurt, do they?" Stan looked across at Gary, who was sitting there acting as if the ankle chains didn't bother him. He sat back down on the concrete ledge. Speaking to Cohen, he said, "You could have warned us." "Relax, Stan," Gary said. "They're not going to hurt you." Cohen pressed the intercom on the wall and said, "We're ready." A few moments later, the door across the hall opened, and 2 men with wheelbarrows full of wood entered the mediation room. The 2 men placed their wheelbarrows at the edge of the sunken pit and constructed a 3-foot-high pile of logs directly between Gary and Stan. The 2 workers left the room with their empty wheelbarrows. Stan joked, "Where are the marshmallows?" "Sorry, Stan, but we don't provide any treats." Trying not to sound nervous, but smelling the familiar scent of lighter fluid, Stan asked, "So, what's all this?" "It's our way of teaching you both a valuable lesson. Each time one of you says something negative about the other, you are adding fuel to the fire instead of putting it out. Some people have difficulty grasping that concept. Here, at Final Solution, we have made it a little more real." The 2 workers came back with wheelbarrows overflowing with wood and set them on either side of Cohen. One placed a large fire extinguisher next to Cohen's feet. Stan thought the whole idea was stupid, but he would play along. "Oh, I get it. As soon as I say something about him, you light the fire." Cohen pulled a lighter from his suit and flicked the flame on. "You're exactly right." "Hold on a second. You can't be serious," Gary said, squirming away from the pile of logs. "I'm out of here." "So you're willing to let all of your claims go? You're going to give the business to Stan?" "Yeah, Gary, just give it to me. You know I should have it anyway." Gary settled down. "I'm not giving you anything." "Good," Cohen said, still holding the burning lighter. "It'd be such a waste setting all this up for nothing. Discuss your problems like rational men. Let's come to a resolution." "I hate to tell you this, but I wouldn't call threatening to set a fire between us as being the most rational thing I've ever seen." "Stan, we've never had a case come to an unsatisfactory conclusion. What other mediator can promise a 100% success rate?" "Then let's do it. This smell is giving me a headache." Stan looked across the mound of logs. "You ready, weasel boy?" Cohen tossed the lighter onto the pile, setting it ablaze. He pressed a button on the wall, turning on the exhaust fans installed above the pit. Cohen faced them with a smile. "I told you that the next negative comment would have consequences. We have started, gentlemen, and will continue until we've finished." "You're crazy!" Stan backed away as far as the restraints allowed. "What the hell do you think you're doing? These clothes are going to be ruined." Cohen slipped on a pair of black leather gloves, picked up a log from the wheelbarrow closest to Stan, and tossed it onto the fire. Trying not to let his temper get the best of him, Stan said, "I didn't say anything about him." "You can't get mad at anyone but yourself," Cohen said smugly. "The 2 of you have the power to end this. I recommend doing it quickly." Stan used the back of his forearm to wipe the sweat from his forehead. He looked down and saw that the tips of his $400 shoes were melting. He bent over, picked up the end of a burning log, and tossed it at Cohen. "Turn this shit off and let me get the fuck out of here before I sue the hell out of you guys." Cohen picked up the extinguisher and sprayed the burning log by his feet. You probably should have taken a closer look at the contract. Always read the fine print, Stan. Stan reached for a log, but his hands came too close to the fire. The lighter fluid that had rubbed off on him from the log he'd tossed ignited, and he threw his blazing hands into the air. Screaming in pain, he looked at Cohen, who was standing there with the extinguisher. "What do you say?" "Please," Stan yelled. "Please put it out!" Cohen put out the fire on Stan's hands, covering the entire front of his body with the white foam. "That's a freebie. No more Mr. Nice Guy. I suggest you two get started." Stan started to object, but Gary said, "I think we should talk, Stan. Come on, I'm scared." Stan ripped off his shirt and wrapped it around his smoldering hands, hoping to ease the pain. "What the fuck you want to talk about? You put me in here, you goddamn Jew!" Cohen tossed another log onto Stan's side. "What did I say now?" "Personal attacks won't help you come to a satisfactory resolution." "He's not even Jewish. It's just an expression. Jews are known for being cheap." "Thanks, but I'm well aware of that stereotype." Gary said, "It's fine. Let's just talk and get this over with. It's starting to burn my legs." Gary looked to Cohen and asked, "Can't we just stop this? We understand." Cohen pointed to the yellow button next to the intercom. "That unlocks your restraints. Come to a satisfactory resolution, and I will press it." Gary said, "You backdoored me and stole my major accounts, ones I had before we even started our partnership. Now it looks like I'm not bringing anything to the table. My take-home pay is half of yours." "Is that why you're stealing?" Gary didn't answer. Cohen picked up a log and asked Gary, "Is that a true accusation or a false attack?" When Gary didn't answer, Cohen threw a log on each side of the blaze. "Answer him, you prick," Stan said as he nudged away a burning log. "You know you're stealing." "I had to. You took all my accounts," Gary said with a whine. "You weren't servicing them right. If you had, maybe your clients wouldn't have approached me." "I didn't service them right?" "That's what I said." Gary looked defeated when he asked, "Like my wife, you son of a bitch? Is that why you slept with her?" It was impossible to tell if it was tears or sweat rolling down his cheeks. Cohen threw 2 logs onto Gary's side of the pyre. "Sit and calm yourself." Stan smiled, even though he could barely see Gary's deflated face through the rising flames. Unable to stop himself, Stan said, "If it makes you feel any better, we never did any sleeping." Gary cried out and jumped to his feet, forgetting about the ankle restraints and raging fire in front of him. He fell face first onto the inferno and panicked, throwing logs out of his way. His shirt was on fire when he got back on his feet. Cohen doused him with the extinguisher and told him to sit. Once Gary was seated, Cohen threw 2 more logs onto Gary's side and tossed the extinguisher behind him. "No more chances. You two better hurry." Seeing his partner on fire sobered Stan. Trying to regain control of the situation, he said, "I'm sorry, Gary, but I didn't exactly rape her." Speaking so low that Stan could barely hear him over the crackling fire, Gary said, "You were screwing my wife in my own office." "She seduced me. You know she's not my type. You've seen the girls I've been with. I like them young and tight, not middle-aged and saggy." Cohen tossed 2 logs onto Stan's side. They caught fire and rolled onto Stan's shoes, setting his jeans on fire. Stan brought his shirt-wrapped hands to his pants and slapped the fire out. "I didn't say anything," Stan yelled, knowing he wouldn't survive many more logs. "Stan!" Gary shouted. "Let's agree on something. Hurry up! My pants are melting!" Stan kicked at the burning logs and set his jeans on fire again. "Put me out, you fuck!" he ordered Cohen. Cohen stepped behind Stan's wheelbarrow and grabbed the handles. Stan whipped his head back to Gary, whom he could no longer see. "Sell me the business for $200,000 plus you keep 10%. Gary cowered in a heap of sobbing moans. The fire seared his calves and climbed his legs. "You miserable Jew!" Cohen heaved on the handles and dumped the logs into the pit. Within seconds, the flames licked the ceiling, engulfing Stan's legs. Barely able to think, Stan shouted, "We'll never agree! There's no solution!" "There's always a solution," Cohen said as he turned toward the door. "And this one is fine by me."
This has been a presentation of the Project Entertainment Network.